Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Slip Safety Show. My name's Christian Harris, and as well as being your host, I'm the founder of Slip Safety Services. My guest today is Guy Griffiths from GG Fit. Now, Guy is an expert when it comes to the retention of members in health clubs, and he's got some really great insights to share, which I think actually are relevant to all sorts of businesses, not just to those of you that operate health clubs. I certainly took a few tips away and thought, oh yeah, I'll have to go and implement that in my own business after this. He wrote a book a few years ago, which he'll pull off the shelves for us and just show us the title of. So one of the things we talk about is to what extent the principles outlined in his book a few years ago are still relevant today. But we also get into how the sector has been dealing with the coronavirus outbreak in terms of trying to hold on to the customers that it's got, which I'm sure again is something relevant to all of us that are involved in managing businesses at the moment. Really good chat, interesting background, interesting person, and a nice guy as well. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, we'd really appreciate if you could share the word and let other people know about the show. And as well, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. You'll then get notified about any upcoming episodes, and it would be great for us too, because that also helps to spread the word to other people that we're providing something of interest and of value. So without further ado, let's get into my chat with Guy Griffiths. Guy Griffiths, welcome to the Slip Safety Show.
Thank you very much for having me, Christian.
It's an after dark version, as you can see from the darkness behind me. So we're burning the midnight oil or something close to that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start off by just telling everybody that's watching or listening a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So Guy Griffiths, my company is GG Fit. And in a nutshell, we help clubs to get their members to stick around longer. So it's membership retention. I formed GG Fit in 2008 after a good long career, 12 years in the city on IT and banking and finance.
Mm-hmm.
And just wanted to do something different, wanted to make a difference and help people get fitter and healthier. So yeah. I basically bought my IT and my kind of reporting and analysis skills, along with sales and just kind of business nous, with a kind of coaching and soft skills bent into the fitness industry to help people get more from their systems, to help them engage better with members, and do lots of member communication as well. So helping all sorts of different clubs, leisure centres, trusts, and worked with a few budget chains as well, and private clubs and independents on all sorts of different retention projects.
Okay. Fairly quiet time for you now then. Not much going on in terms of trying to keep members in clubs.
In terms of keeping members in the clubs, no, there's none there. The last visit date was the 19th of March. So we've stopped sending member communications to absent members because that would be a bit of a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
But actually, it's been really full on in terms of.
I was being a little bit facetious because I know how busy you are at the moment.
Yeah, just so I mean, but seriously though, it's helping people with. There's lots of cancellations happening, even though clubs have, a lot of clubs have stopped taking payments. Even though, particularly the leisure trust, they've stopped taking payments.
Yeah.
And independents maybe are still taking payments, whether it's a full membership fee or some kind of reduced fee. But there's lots of cancellations happening. It's important to track those and to get in touch with those people.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I've not cancelled my membership of the club that I'm a member of, but I have cancelled my youngest son's nursery, for example. And the reason for that is because he is in the kind of higher risk. He's got asthma, so he's in the higher risk category. And actually, my wife and I just don't feel as if we'd be comfortable sending him back to nursery, even if nurseries were to reopen for some time in the future. So, that's just one example, I suppose, of where there's a very legitimate reason to say, well, actually, we're going to cancel something.
Absolutely, and I think lots of people have cancelled because they either don't want to go straight back to the gym, or they maybe haven't been to the gym for a while, and they've opened the email that says we're not taking payment and thought, well, I'll cancel it anyway. Other people haven't opened the email and didn't know that they weren't going to take payment, so have therefore cancelled it. There's lots of different reasons, but reaching out to people is important. And there's some conversations I've had this week with clubs who have been calling members who are cancelling. Have got great feedback, really, really positive feedback. You know, there's not many people who are upset. Most people are glad to get the call, which is always the way with absentees or people who are leaving. Calling up and showing you care is the important thing. So, is yours? I'm trying to remember where you're a member of. Is it a big club, big box, or a local?
No, well, I'm a member of this place called the Royal Automobile Club. So we've got it's like a members club, a broader sort of members club with golf clubs and golf courses, and tennis, and then we've got a gym and restaurants and so on and so forth.
So you're interested in keeping them going and supporting them through this?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Very similar with a lot of independent gyms, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, and I've seen. I mean, I was talking with a couple of clients just before everything closed, and I was finding that the kind of independent gyms or clubs seem to have a greater kind of community feel to them. Maybe a bit smaller. They know everybody's name, and it's they've got that kind of camaraderie.
Absolutely, yeah, and where payments have been stopped by mistake, perhaps due to a miscommunication between the club and their payment provider, members have complained and said we want to pay still. Or where clubs have decided not to take payment or take reduced payment, there have been quite a lot of stories of members saying, "No, we want to pay you. I've just bought. In fact, I've just gone online and bought 10 PT sessions.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll deliver them when we open again. No. I want you to have the money. I want you to still be open when we come back." So there is a lot of camaraderie, a lot of community, particularly in independent clubs, and I'm finding that really, really encouraging actually. That's happening. At the same time, a lot of those independents have now maybe got a loan come through. Quite a few of them have already got that money in their account, and are talking about what they should be doing for their members. They've got online workouts, they've got online classes and lots of other things going on. But for those members who really want to keep paying, what are they going to do for them? Are they going to give them a voucher when they come back? Are they going to send them a load of protein bars, which is a good idea if there's a short use by date on them? But yeah, there's certainly that sense of community and support, particularly for independent clubs and for some big trusts as well. I know Active Nation had quite a few members who still wanted to pay, and they of course accepted payments as donations because they're a registered charity, so they were taking donations to the charity and claiming gift aid rather than having a membership fee.
Well, I think in most of these towns around the country, the leisure centre is kind of a community hub, isn't it? Because it's not just a gym; it's a place where you have your kids' birthday parties and you have your dance lessons and you do this and you do that, and the cafeterias are often very full because it's kind of certainly in a smaller town, it's kind of sometimes the only place to really go and meet with people. So there's got to be a good strong feeling there from the community, which should stand them in good stead going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a worry. Actually, that's one of my worries going through this, is that I think and I read that some leisure centres will take a long time to reopen, which part of that will come down to cleanliness, I think, or the perceived cleanliness of those sites. Not wanting to jump straight into the topic of the show, but while the pool itself is very safe in terms of not contracting coronavirus, the powers that be or the government or whoever else I think a lot of people see leisure centres as dirty places, and I think a few of them will struggle to reopen this year, which will be a massive shame.
Yeah, because I mean it's interesting watching the daily briefings, particularly when Chris Whitty's on, and he's always talking about the wider health benefits of exercise and all this other stuff. And there's been some encouraging data from Sport England about sort of 2/3 of people are, exercising more. I think that's what they said, exercising more than ever, or sort of very keen to exercise. So that's all, a positive, but they obviously need, or do they? They, in the old world, they needed a place to go and exercise. In the new world, perhaps there's less of that going on, but it would be a shame if these places weren't able to reopen fairly soon.
I think, that people, clearly people are exercising more, and there's, the searches for fitness and sales of dumbbells has overtaken toilet rolls, or searches anyway. The actual sale, I don't know, but there's certainly a lot more focus on fitness. And some people will be self-sufficient. Some people won't go back to the gym having found new ways of exercising, but I think there's lots more people that will get into activity and will get into exercise. And when gyms and leisure centres reopen, certainly there will be some new members coming, which will replace some of the ones that they have already lost. Some of the ones they've lost, of course, will come back. But I really believe there's the whole digital fitness boom, the Joe Wicks workouts, the plethora of online fitness classes that just flood your social streams. It's brilliant. There's an awful lot to choose from. But if the fitness industry can serve and support those members, and not try and convert them to a gym membership, but say, look, we will support you. We can give you this content. It's not free. A lot of it is at the moment, and that could come back to bite us. But it won't be. But you could pay a small membership fee per month, and if there's 1,000 people that are a member of a leisure centre that never visit the leisure centre but pay £1 or £5 or something to access the online content, if that's engaging and helps to retain people, not just a class, but a check-in or a weigh-in and a challenge and a workout of the week that helps people towards more fitness and gives them those milestones. I think that's one of the ways that the fitness industry should evolve, and I hope we do.
I suppose that's a big opportunity for the likes of MyZone and similar things like that as well, isn't it, to partner up, which I know they do already, but with the operators, because actually you could see that sort of digital fitness working well if you've got that ability to then track and have competitions, and you know what I mean. That I think that those platforms.
It is, and I wear my MyZone belt when I go for a run. I'm a fan, but I'm already motivated and I'm already active. I don't think so. I'm not knocking MyZone. I think it's brilliant, but I think for the people who've just joined Strava, who are running around the block twice, I don't think many of those are going to put a MyZone belt on. I don't think it's going to motivate them necessarily to get into the red on their workout. I think simpler stuff is needed. Simpler measures, simpler challenges.
Well, that could be part of the kind of I am quite a big fan of this business called Dent, and they talk about creating like a product ecosystem. So you start with free stuff, and then you have a entry level product, and then you have a core product, and you have a retainer type product. And so you could actually see that there's something there where you're starting off free or very cheap, and then kind of working the way up, and potentially don't get into that next level, but you might have a lot of people on some sort of monthly, relatively low cost, and actually, they're not having to clean up after them or provide them with towels or whatever. So actually, it's profit, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, and if we can retain them, for me, there are steps going up, but people don't always have to progress. So if people get on the bottom rung and they're being more active and they're not on the couch as much, then that's fine. If they want to progress to the next level, then sure, we can encourage them to. And if it means we take more money and they do visit the leisure centre once a week, rather than once a month for a check-in, or rather than ever, then great. But if people are happy on that bottom rung and they're at least on the ladder, then not everyone wants to progress or will progress. So
no,
and that's another example is Les Mills. Again, brilliant product, great company. Love them to bits. But I believe a lot of these things are activating the already active, or getting the people who are already very active more active. Which is fine, but we're never going to push through the 15%. Well, we're now on 15.7, I think, according to David Minton's last report.
We're not going to get to 40%.
We're not even going to get to 20.
No.
I think we're going to go back below 15% as we come out of this. Well, we are, there's no doubt. But the way to get to 20 is to engage with people outside the club, and have that non-bricks and mortar membership. And that membership doesn't need to have to, we don't want to be hitting those people with an email every month saying, come on, when are you going to be a member then? Because they're fine. They're exercising, they're doing something, they're being active, and we're supporting them with that.
Yeah, and there's something in that, particularly in the trust and the local authority market, because actually their mission is it's not the same as a private operator. Their mission is actually around trying to get people in that community more active, and so I think that there's got to be more openness there to try these different things. But equally, that puts the kind of commercial model of councils, expecting a management fee to be paid to them, potentially under some stress as well.
It does. I think. Well, I hope some of the conversations I've had with Active Nation, not to bring them up again and again, but yes, they manage leisure centres, but they also do colour runs and these active warrior weekends and things like that. And they are much more about. They're about much more than the centre.
Yeah.
They're much more about serving the community and just getting people active. The centre's there, and that's obviously a focal place to come and do it. But yeah, let's just get the nation active any which way is good. And then we will reduce the number of people going to their GP to be referred for exercise, because they can just rock up to the centre and self-refer and be getting on with it. If you can take that barrier away, which for some people, having to go to the GP to ask to be referred to exercise is embarrassing. And a blocker. So
tell us about your book.
So Stick Around is a book I wrote in 2012, 2013. It's basically it's a member retention manual. I should be able to pull a copy off the bookshelf and wave it at you if you wish. There it is. $14.99 from Amazon. But it's basically a guide to health club retention, and I wrote it to just kind of put something out there for clubs to say, you know what, I can't go and work for everyone. At $14.99, I'm not selling it to make millions. The more copies that are out there, hopefully, the more people will be getting fitter and healthier because they'll be staying at health clubs. So lots of ideas, lots of talk about systems and processes, some ideas on challenges, although I'm kind of at the final stages of writing or finishing another book about fitness challenges, which should be out by the end of this lockdown if I can find a bit of time to finish it off. Okay, cool.
And to what extent, if we forget the coronavirus situation, if we wind back to December 2019, how much have things moved on since you wrote the book, in terms of your advice, or would you say actually the principles of it were at that point pretty timeless?
I think most of the principles are the same. Systems wise and communication wise, we have come on a lot in the last 7 years. So there was a couple of paragraphs or maybe a page or two on social media,
MySpace or something.
I posited at the time that social media wasn't really a way of engaging with members in terms of retaining them, because and even now I still stick by the kind of three classic methods of email, text and post, not necessarily in that order. Because if you look, for example, at members who've not been for 21 days and you want to communicate with them all, text is best from the stats that we see and the messages we send. Email is not too bad. Actually, I say text is best. Text is what we lead on because it only costs 4p or around that. An email is technically free, but post is most effective, sending people a postcard. But obviously that's 76p now for a first class stamp, I think, maybe a little more.
I think that's coming back in business to business as well, to be honest, because people just don't get post much anymore. So if you can do something that's, you know, nicely packaged up and has
Yep.
a compelling call to action or a compelling message, I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas tweeting someone or sending them a Facebook message, I mean, there's a bit more you can do now with WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and connecting, but it's still very difficult to say, oh, Christian's not been for 2 weeks, I'm going to send him a direct message on Twitter. Well, not if he doesn't follow you. Not.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to use Facebook Messenger. Well, yes, you can, but do we have his Facebook account in our front of house systems? Yeah. What will it cost to integrate that? Because then we could do it for free, more than it would to send text to everyone this year.
Yeah.
So
I suppose going forward, if people know about those platforms as options, if they start capturing that data when people join, then it gives them that option, doesn't it? But I suppose, it's quite hard to reverse engineer.
It does. When we started, this was probably 5 or 6 years ago, we did start to ask people what their Facebook ID was and what their Twitter handle was and what at the time, their Foursquare handle was. And we got about 1% of members fill in that information, one of the 3 fields.
Yeah.
And of those 1%, I think about 10% of the 1% were valid Facebook addresses. The rest were just, I think it's probably Guy Griffiths. It's not.
No.
So social media certainly has its place, and I think with what is happening now, with people logging into Zoom calls and watching Facebook Live and engaging in that way, it's still good. But if you want to send a very targeted message, and I mean, here are the 5 people who visited our club 21 days ago and haven't been in since, in normal circumstances, text, email and post, just it works. In terms of what else has changed, I mean, business has evolved quite a lot. There's a lot more mystery shopping and mystery journey stuff that we do, and there's more engagement and analysis we do with the systems and the information that we can get from front of house systems now. But the basic principles are the same. And when it comes down to it, the basic, how do you, the down the pub answer to, oh, that's an interesting job, how do you do that then? The answer is customer service and talking to people. That's how you retain members. Obviously, there's lots of different layers and levels of that, but that's the kind of key thing. Talking to members, asking them what they think, asking leavers what they think, why they're leaving. That's one of the best places to get feedback. All of your joiners are generally, oh, it's brilliant, we're happy, this is super, I've just invested in this and this is the best club ever and what a great decision maker I am and I've joined your club and yes, you're brilliant. Of course, you should still ask joiners how they're getting on, but leavers will give it to you with both barrels, sometimes very nicely, sometimes not, but that's a great way of getting feedback on your facility.
Well, once you've left and you've kind of given up that emotional attachment that you, as you said, you've got when you first joined, then there's no reason to hold back, is there? I know we're British and we don't really like to, we prefer to be polite, I suppose, but you're always going to be a little bit more forthcoming with what you really think.
Yes, that's right.
You kind of severed that relationship. Speaking about social media, I think I'm right that you've set it up, but you invited me into a Facebook group. So you want to tell us a bit about that? Am I right that you set it up?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the collective. It's something that I set up with Alina Cooper, who is someone I've worked with for a while. Her company one of her companies is FitLinks, which is a really great fitness recruitment company. Which, in a nutshell, I think it should be good on the show as well for you. But yeah, in a nutshell, they have a kind of they have a match engine that will you advertise a job, but you can then look and find, a bit like it's called Talent Match, but it is like a dating site.
Online dating, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can go and find someone who is exactly right for your role. But we've worked together on various different ideas and projects, and we just wanted to bring a collaborative networking platform group together, and we looked at lots of different ways of doing it. And we talked a lot about LinkedIn, but LinkedIn groups
rubbish.
I've been in lots of LinkedIn groups. Back in the day, they were okay, but so we've set up the collective on Facebook, and the concept is to share, collaborate, and grow.
Yeah.
So we've got a series of experts in like a core collective that meet up every now and then. But then we're putting information out to the industry and interviewing different people. And it's a platform there for people to network and get in touch with each other, not to sell, but really to educate, and just put good messages out there to help businesses grow, but also to help the industry grow.
Yeah. Facebook is definitely the right platform for anything like that, because I think it was about a year ago or 18 months ago, Mark Zuckerberg actually decided or said, publicly that Facebook is going to be all about groups going forward. So it used to be about your wall and your interactions with people individually, whereas now it's all, and people watching and listening to this probably will may not have thought about this, but when they hear it, they'll say, oh, well, that's true. Nowadays, most of the stuff that happens is in groups, and obviously that's been engineered to be that way. Do any clubs or clients of yours have their own little Facebook groups as well?
Yes, they do. There's either there's often a public group and a private group. Whether that's because of the kind of thing that's posted in there or because they're putting live classes. But yeah, the public group is obviously there for messages and marketing, just sharing general stuff. But then there'll be not a paywall as such, but here's a private group that you can get into, which is proving very successful for a local bootcamp client of mine that I do some coaching with, she's just exploded her business over the last couple of weeks.
I can imagine, yeah.
And I do taekwondo with my son. My daughter used to do it as well, but she's recently dropped out. But we've been doing taekwondo on Facebook Live, and that's for people who are still paying the membership fees. So like you, I'm still paying my taekwondo membership, and we're doing taekwondo classes in our lounge. Yeah, and being sent up, go to the bedroom or go to the nearest bedroom and do 10 burpees and come back. Which is insane, but it's still a hit workout. We're just thundering around the house on a Monday night at 7 o'clock.
That's good. I'm doing Lego Avengers and sort of cartoon workouts with my 5-year-old.
Okay, are the Les Mills ones or more cartoony ones?
More cartoony ones. So we've tried some of the Les Mills ones as well. He's less into those because they're just, I think they're slightly older than him, if you know what I mean, whereas he likes watching Spider-Man go and do his sort of this, that's he finds that quite fun, particularly when I'm doing it and looking a bit stupid. So
we're doing it together. That's key for me, doing it together and doing Joe Wicks is a big Spider-Man fan as well. We've been doing Joe Wicks's workouts. They're great. I think it's just straightforward and simple, and you turn it. Yes, you can do it not live, but to have that at 9 every morning is a good little leveler.
Good start to the day. Yeah. And then let's go on to LinkedIn, because you've been doing some great stuff content wise on LinkedIn about what clubs should be doing now, and getting some really good engagement on that. So without sort of going over everything, I mean, could you come up with maybe a top 3 things that whether we've put them on LinkedIn or not, but what the clubs should be focusing on right now, bearing in mind we're looking at another month at least, I suppose, now until the lockdown starts to ease.
In terms of what clubs should be doing retention wise at the moment, I mean, key one is communication and communicating with members. I know a lot of clubs sent out an email saying we've closed, and assume that every member has read that and read every word 2 or 3 times, because the person who sent it read every word 2 or 3 times and checked it, but it hasn't been opened by half of your members probably. You can see if you've sent it properly through a proper campaign provider, you'll be able to see who's opened it. And those who haven't opened it, then you could easily trigger a resend. But just that one message isn't enough. You should be sending out a weekly or at least fortnightly update as to what's happening, talking about membership fees, talking about what's going on in the club, talking about whatever digital offering you've got, and just getting those communications out, not just by email, but by email with a resend, on or whatever social media channels you got, Instagram, Facebook, everything else. And consider other options as well for people who don't open, or people you've not even sent to because they've opted out. So, a little postcard to just stay in touch.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the cancellations. Manage them. When people are cancelling, try and find out as quickly as possible. If you're with someone like DFC or Harlands, if you're with a full service provider, you should be able to get a daily report, but weekly's maybe enough, of instructions that have been cancelled, and just pick up the phone to those members. There's some great people are answering the phones more at the moment. So, and people are getting great results from those calls. Not necessarily people reinstating the direct debit, but if you've made that call, they're much more likely to come back to you sooner when you do reopen. So that's important. And then it's planning. It's planning for the future now. Clubs are starting to move into that stage now. I've not posted much about that, but knowing where you're going with your digital offering, knowing what you're doing with next month's payment, and starting to communicate that to members, or even surveying them and finding out what they want. Monitoring is. Lots of people just went, oh, here's Les Mills, or here's our online, or here's Nathan doing tricep dips in the garden on a chair, which I think is brilliant. But what engagement are you really getting on that? Is it flicking the switch for members? Talk to them, survey them, whatever else, and find out what else they want. Do they want a challenge? Do they want a workout of the week? Do they want an online class? Online classes you probably know because people will be doing them or not.
Yeah.
But looking at how this works going forward, and how when you do reopen, what you're going to do. Are you going to have all of your ex-members already engaged and already on your online workouts over the next month? So all your ex-members, what about all the prospects that you had? You're probably thinking, I can't contact them because we're not open. Well, you can contact them and get them all on the online workouts tomorrow. And then when you reopen, if they don't want to come back down to the club, but they still want to do the online workouts, then charge them £1 or a £5 or a £10 or whatever it is.
Or if they do want to join physically, come to a club, then they're going to be more likely to do that with you because you've engaged with them in the meantime.
Exactly. So, it's not a time for sales unless you're my local bootcamp lady or James Griffiths up at Wild Training in High Wycombe, who's just smashed it out of the park with their online offering. But I think the other thing is to look at what people are doing online, to look at the systems you are using now, you could be using. There's some great trials, there's some great offers, there's some great things you can be doing. So take this time, if you've got the time, to try them out and get your members on them and get feedback.
Yeah. No, that all makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
I think that's most of what I've been saying. I think there's a couple more things that I need to say, so that's good to get a bit more grist for the mill for the future posts. How about you? What's your how are you finding business at the moment?
Well, our kind of core business, I wouldn't say fell off a cliff because there's still been things going on, but it's kind of significantly slowed down because stopping people from slipping over and doing a deep clean just from an aesthetic perspective in a lot of places isn't at the top of the agenda right now. So what we've done is we've done a sort of slight pivot, I guess, for want of a better term, and we've formalised more of a decontamination offering. So we have got people out and about doing that kind of work in buildings that are still open. So, warehouses and some offices and pharmacies and places like that. And we're now focusing really on, certainly I'm focusing my time proactively on particularly the leisure market and actually what's next and what should we be doing to get ready for reopening, because my strong view, as I think is that cleanliness is going to be much more important now than it ever was, and it's always been important, but I think it's going to be pretty critical going forward, and people are they need to start planning for it really and taking some steps to try and improve things now, because if they wait until Boris, once he's back, says, oh, we're opening up next week, it'll be too late to kind of do it properly. And I was watching I don't know if you've seen any of these, but I was watching a webinar by Club Solutions magazine, and they had a few. They've done a few of them. They're good, so I'd recommend those. And they had a few kind of operators from the US, and one of the guys there was saying, look, if we've been closed for a month or 6 weeks and members walk back through the door and it's not gleaming, and every scuff mark gone and every lick of paint done on the walls, and everything from a customer experience perspective, they're going to think, well, these guys don't care about us. What the hell have they been doing for the last 6 weeks? I'm going to go somewhere else.
A mothball gym is
yeah. So yeah, we're just really trying to, as always, put out some content about this topic, and hopefully not in a salesy way, in an educational way, and we're there for people if they want to take it further and actually understand what they can do to drive up their standards a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be useful to have a how long does a deep clean take? If clubs ought to know that, but if you got this area and that area, what's it going to take? What's the likely cost? Those kind of things, because it's a box they're going to have to tick. They're going to have to tick social distancing boxes in different ways, in the gym, in the change rooms, in the class, whatever else. But a big box that they're going to have ticked to say we are reopening, we have done this, is clearly going to be the deep clean, even though there won't be any COVID there still if it's been closed. But as you say, it needs to look sparkling and it needs to be kept sparkling.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that particularly in the sort of barefoot areas as well, where like a shower and a changing room, where you've got that kind of vulnerability, and you've got that skin contact with the surfaces, and you've also got the not so nice kind of contamination like the body fats and stuff. It's it's a bit gross if you think about it too much, and those, particularly when you've got members who've been exercising at home and in the comfort of their home and in the cleanliness of their home, and everything's the way they like it, and they've got all these options online and so on and so forth. If you want them to come back through the door, you're going to have to provide them with something that's a step up from what it was before.
Yes. To come back into the club that they recognise, but go, crikey, you've got a new floor. Well, no, it's just a clean one.
It's just clean. Yeah. One of the challenges is go on.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it's something we often see. It's not. I will always focus more on the customer interaction, the hello and goodbye, the are you going to be at this class again next week? Put your hand up type interactions that kind of get people to gel and get the community and get the club within a club kind of idea, or the club outside the club. But when we do leaver surveys or any kind of customer surveys, it's always something that comes up. And particularly if you just offer free format text, kind of some of the things that, Paul Roberts from My Customer Lens, we work with on, getting leaver surveys and things like that. And if people are going to have a moan about something, it will be the changing rooms.
Yeah. I've got an interesting
about the changing rooms. Yeah. It's not that the lockers are all full, even if they are. It's that the changing rooms could be a bit cleaner.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, sometimes that is maintenance more than cleanliness, but overall the standards across the sector are in need of improvement, shall we say? Let's be kind.
Could be better. Absolutely.
Could be better. Yeah. Interesting on that point actually about interactions, because I think that's something that is a really fundamental role, or could be a really fundamental role, for the people that are doing cleaning in clubs. Because if you think about it, if you go to a pure gym, let's say, where you don't have a reception desk, and that's an extreme, but actually a lot of these clubs are stripping back on reception and things. You go in, you don't collect a towel, you've got your own towel or whatever, you go in, you get ready, blah, blah, blah. You might not actually engage with, if you're not going to a class, you might not engage with any member of staff other than potentially somebody that's there that's doing cleaning or janitorial, type stuff. So I think actually there's an interesting opportunity there to kind of upskill those people around customer
Yes.
service.
Yeah, it's a good point. Whether they are employed or contracted would be a question. I often think that some instructors prefer to clean the equipment than talk to members. And when I do work at clubs like that, my job is to persuade them that they could do some talking to people, and then if they want a break, they can go and clean. You'd probably be the other way around. So some instructors really do love cleaning because they don't enjoy interaction. I mean, they're in the wrong job typically, or they need coaching out of that mentality. But yeah, it doesn't hurt for the cleaners to have, what would it improve retention if the cleaners had a little bit of how to interact training? I think it'd be interesting to look into, and I think there would be if every time you were in your pure gym and the cleaner did interact with you, you'd go, well, yeah, well, the cleaner was there. It is therefore, and they said hello to me, therefore it is a clean gym.
Yeah, there's definitely something
Some people
around.
won't notice the cleaning.
Yeah, there's definitely something around that visibility. That's one of the things that came up in those club solutions webinars as well, is actually trying to demonstrate that you're doing cleaning. The challenge with that in a practical sense is that if you've got people there that are glad handing the members and kind of doing for show cleaning, they're actually not doing proper cleaning, and therefore you need to back that up with some proper cleaning out of hours or at a different time. But Virgin Active, for example, who I've done a fair bit of work with over the years, they have always done their cleaning in-house, other than when they bought a Sporter and they inherited some outsourced cleaning. But they call their cleaning staff member care, and I think that's deliberate, because actually part of what they try to encourage them to do is to be a smiling, happy, helpful face.
Do they have the 5 meter or the I can't remember, it's the I usually say the 3 meter rule or the 5 meter rule, and this is not to do with COVID, but have you heard of that as an interaction?
I have heard of that. I couldn't tell you whether they do that or not there, but I have heard of that. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. So clubs do that, where it's basically, if you walk within 5 meters of anyone, you always say hello. So whether it's the chief exec, there's a few trusts that do it. Not all through my training, but a few are. Whether it's a cleaner or a receptionist or a member or a team member or your boss that you might have just had an appraisal with or whatever else, you always say hello to everyone within 5 meters, and the members get into that state of mind as well. And it's always expected, and it always happens. And if you walk within that range of people, you just always say hello and acknowledge them. And I think that's saying that cleaners are included in that, or member care consultants, or whatever they are, is really important, because you then do notice that they're there. They're not just contract staff who are keeping the place clean. They're part of the team.
No, absolutely. Great. Before we go then, Guy, anything exciting coming up other than your new book that you want to tell us about?
The end of lockdown, and opening the clubs again. No, there'll be more stuff on the collective. So if people want to join that, then search for either the collective or the Fitlinks collective. Other than that, I mean, the main thing for me at the moment is just putting out some good content on, doing things like this, and putting out good content on LinkedIn, which is the best place to connect with me, Guy Griffiths, on LinkedIn, or at GGFit on pretty much all social media.
Any of the social media, yeah. Yes, I was going to ask you for your plugs, but you've beaten me to it, so well done.
Okay.
Well done for that. And any burning issues that I didn't ask you about regarding retention that we should just touch on before we finish, or did we cover those things?
I think the main thing at the moment, which, as I say, some clubs are starting to do, is I'm finding this with meetings as well. People are, sending invitations and all. Let's Zoom this, let's Zoom that. Just picking up the phone and talking to people, or even going old school to actually say, look, if you've got one of these, pick it up and use it, because members are really appreciative appreciative of it at the moment. Just to touch base, just to how are you doing? I'm not trying to get you to sign back up. I'm just checking that mentally, are you okay? Is there anything I can help with? And that's the same for businesses, for partners, for customers, for employees. So yeah, Zoom's brilliant, and having lots of different people on the screen, it can get a bit tiring though. But picking up the phone works. And if anyone wants to pick up the phone to me, then drop me an email first and book in a meeting. But reach out to people, and so let's talk more.
And the good thing is that just as with Zoom, you can do it without wearing any trousers. You can still do that on the phone as well, so you don't have to worry about constricting yourself.
Indeed.
I'm not wearing trousers actually. I'm wearing shorts, but just to be clear, I don't want to.
Yes, me too. And if you think I've been wobbling, it's because I've got a standing desk. That's my that's another part of my exercise regime.
Yeah, I should get one of those, because I find whenever I go and make a phone call, with work or personal, I always just go and walk, because I just think it kind of gets the brain going and stuff. I'm sitting now, but I should try and scope out something to have a standing desk. I think that would be a good idea. But
it's very, very, it's good for the back. Not so good for if you've got knackered knees like me. But that's all the running I do. So
there we go. Great. Well, Guy, thank you very much for your time. Very generous of you to join us, and we will put all of your links and stuff on the web and the show notes and all that kind of good stuff. And look forward to engaging with you more on LinkedIn and in the collective on Facebook.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers.